With the return of Fabian Lovett and Jared Verse, and especially Jordan Travis, FSU's S&P Plus preseason ranking by Bill Connelly on ESPN has FSU just outside the top 10. We'll talk about that and more on today's edition of Locked On Seminoles. Dave, let's ride.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to another edition of Locked On Seminoles. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Drake here, and today in the stream yard, I got my boy, Mr. David Wise. Davey, what's going on, my guy?
Drake, we are so far from college football, it is alarming.
I know it's upsetting, but folks, please we want to thank each and every single one of you for making us your first listen each and every single day. And as always, please don't forget to like this video, hit the subscribe button at the tippy top, and ding the little bell so you know when new content drops. But Dave, enough about that. Talk about FSU football. While you said we are about 6 months away, but we still need to keep talking about it, especially all national media is talking about this team right now. Bill Connelly, for those who don't know, he's over at ESPN. He has the S&P Plus advanced metric that he has every single season for preseason rankings. And as of, I think, a few days ago, I think it was the 14th when it was officially dropped, Florida State, due to its returning production of players like a Fabian Lovett, a Jared Verse, and Jordan Travis, is actually number 11 in the country in between USC and also ahead of Clemson, which would be surprising, with a rating overall at 11th overall, 26 on offense. Dave, do you know where he actually has ranked on defense?
Yeah, I saw that. Eighth on defense and 26 on offense. That's obviously the starting point of this conversation. Bill, you gotta do something with your little formula, I think, because I don't know.
You can turn turn
it on its axis this way, but Bill, watch FSU football. Formula's not working here. The offense is better than the defense. I regret to inform you. There was a really good explanation that Bud Elliott did on this over I think it was over winter on the Nolecast, where he talked about like why S&P had FSU's defense ahead of its offense in 2022. And I don't remember the exact explanation, but I mean, it seemed like he agreed, and it seems everybody agrees. Florida State's offense is better than its defense. Anybody knows that. Anybody who's ever watched it knows that. So just what's confusing to me is this is supposed to be a model that projects into next year, I'm assuming, because it's the 2023 preseason ranking.
Yeah, it's taking a lot of the returning production into value. That's kind of why you see like teams like Notre Dame dropping. Oklahoma's also actually rising up because of players coming in. And you see teams like Kentucky, who were actually, I think, in the top 15 last year. I think they're number 24.
Right.
Will Levis leaving.
But that still doesn't make sense, Drake, because Florida State, tell me this. Where did Florida State lose its most important player this offseason?
Defense.
Yeah. Jamie Robinson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who did Florida State lose on offense exactly?
The homie, Dylan Gibbons. The great guy.
Yep.
Viking. Cartier wearing, sunglasses wearing graduate. Come on now.
Who else?
Ontario Wilson.
Who else?
Now I didn't see that now. Oh, Treshawn Ward.
Okay. Who else?
Okay, I get the point, Dave.
Yeah, Florida State lost nothing on offense. Not to belabor the point here. Everybody's coming back. That's why this team is a darling going into next year. So to look at this and see Florida State ranked 26th on offense, I don't know what to tell you. This is going to be one of the 5 best offenses in the country. If you go over and look at the F Plus rankings on Football Outsiders, which is another advanced metrics website, they have us as the 14th best offense and the 35th best defense. That feels closer to me to reality. And F Plus incorporates SP Plus into its rankings. Last year, the SP Plus had us ended at 27. This is the perspective for you here. Ended at 27, starting the season 11. Clearly, they're expecting a big jump from Florida State. Just flip-flop the offensive defense, I think.
I think it's just more also that you have to also take into account like teams teams in the country right now, right? I think that's kind of more where I don't think it's necessarily saying that the defense is substantially better than the offense. I think it's kind of also saying that you kind of see right now what college football where defenses don't limit teams to like 20 or less points anymore. That's just not the way offenses are kind of schemed away around their defenses, right? So to me, I think it's more that basically the defense is probably one of the top units in the country, or returning players wise, like you said, we said they added Fentrell Cypress for defensive backs, they added Braden Fish, they added Daryl Jackson. They're adding a lot of players in addition to returning production of players like a hopefully fully healthy Jared Verse and Fabian Love for an entire season. Offensively, though, I will agree with you. I do think this is going to be at the bare minimum a top 10 offense in the country. So I would like to see that higher. And then I think in the next segment we'll talk about it. But to me, I think it goes more towards out of all the teams you see right now, out of the 133 teams you see in the SP Plus, how many would you actually pick ahead of Florida State? And actually, we'll talk about that in our next segment. But first, we talk about friends over at FanDuel, folks. FanDuel is just, it's a wonderful partner. They're the official FanDuel sportsbook actually for the NBA. And the midway point of the NBA is actually season is here. And now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your bet does not win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and easy to use, so don't miss your chance to get your no sweat first bet now up to 1,000. Right, that's $1,000. That's one with 3 zeros, and and bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/locked on. That's FanDuel.com/locked on, LOCKEDON to learn more. Because, folks, make every moment matter more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. And Dave, we're back. We're rocking and rolling here on Locked On Seminoles. I want to thank each and every single one of you for making us your first listen each and every single day. But Dave, as I think we did this exercise, I think back in December. Look at these you can look at these SP Plus rankings. You have teams like a Penn State, Tennessee, LSU, Oregon. For some reason, I don't understand it every year. Texas is ahead of us as well. Out of all the teams right now, ranking wise, where do you think actually FSU slots in between these? Because right now there's a lot of CFP hopefuls, and there's also a lot of posers right now in this top 25. So I kind of wanted to ask you, where should FSU slot around here?
Well, look, here's the thing. If Florida State, let me ask you this question. If Florida State's defense is better than its offense next year, does that mean that our defense suddenly became like Georgia level elite, or does that mean our offense didn't meet its expectations in your mind?
I am of the belief that this offense, even if it just stays the same heading into next season, is still going to be a top 10 offense. So if like the defense is better, and I think the defense will be consistently better, especially with the additional help that they got through the portal. That to me believes that we talked to yesterday about how great is great, but this could be an elite defense if it's actually better than our offense.
Great. Didn't answer my question at all, though. If the defense is better than the offense, does that mean the offense underperformed or the defense massively overperformed?
I'll go with the latter.
Yeah, I don't think so. I just don't see that. So the teams above Florida State, though, are what confuse me, because we're ahead of Clemson. Clemson. Thank you for the listener comment. It is not Clemson with a Z. Clemson. Sorry about that. But teams right behind us, like Clemson. That makes sense to me. Right ahead of us, though, you have USC. I don't think USC could stop anybody from scoring 50 points. So, if you're saying that Florida State is going to have an elite offense, which S&P is not saying, and I think that's why we're not above some of these teams. Like, I think if this accurately, looked at our offense, like I'd be really hard pressed to believe that Florida State runs the 28th best offense in the country next year, 26th, whatever the hell it is. If it's 26th or 28th, whatever, Florida State's offense didn't do well enough, and our team didn't perform well enough, and our season didn't go like we thought it would be, like we thought it would, and like it should. So, that's the thing. USC, their defense is so bad. Florida State should be more well-rounded and better than them. Texas, I don't know, man. I never know what we're going to get from Texas. Like, one of these years, they're going to be good again, because if you throw enough money at a problem, eventually you're probably going to fix it. But until that happens, why are we buying this story every year? Oregon's the same story as USC. They don't play defense. Then we get to a team like LSU. That's the thing. We're going to learn exactly how good this Florida State team is. We're going to learn a lot about its offense versus a good defense and its defense versus a good offense right away next year against LSU. So, you start to go above that on the list and you could split hairs. Like, I don't think Tennessee's going to be better. I just don't think Tennessee's going to be better given that offense is going to experience a fall off and their defense wasn't great to begin with. So,
Mhm.
other than that, you can I think it's fair to have opinions about the rest of the teams above Florida State on that list. But if our offense is top 10 like it was last year and they're saying our defense is going to be top 10, that makes us a top 5 team.
No, I agree with that, but I also remember I think with this initial list, it does do the returning production. I know you asked originally, like that's kind of where the big thing is. A lot of these teams are retaining all their players. Like example, USC is number 3 offensive wise. Caleb Williams won the Heisman last year. That's basically your entire offense. You lose Jordan Addison, but you still have a lot of wide receivers in the wings, right? Georgia obviously is going to be Georgia. Ohio State, they did lose CJ Stroud, so that's kind of where I understand the offense returning production wise, that doesn't work out. So that's kind of where I disagree a little bit. But if you look at players that after you did lose an offense, you lose an Ontario Wilson who had 500 yards of offense, and you're not going to be relying on a Winston Wright Jr. who hasn't played football in over a year and a half due to injury. Then you also have Trayshawn Ward, also off the roster. That's 630 yards you have to replace too as well. So to me, I think with the way it's set up right now, I just more believe that it's taking into account, probably too heavily into account, players that FSU is losing offensively. Whereas on defense, yes, you lose Jamie Robinson, but you also replace a Jamie Robinson with the Fentrell Cypress, who was the number 1 corner in the entire conference, which kind of like doesn't cancel it out by any means, but it does soften the blow significantly for that. And you also add Braden Fisk, like I said before, Daryl Jackson. I think that actually I believe this offense will actually probably stay exactly the same overall because I have no reason to believe there will be a regression. So in my personal opinion, if the defense does rank higher than them, it's mainly because of the new players that we have on defense to basically permitting Adam Fuller to play his full scheme, his full playbook. That's why I actually believe the defense will be substantially better than the offense. Could be if they're substantially better than the offense next year.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's all right. But I did that because I just got pissed off. If the theory is
What did I do?
not at what you did at this
Oh,
list,
okay.
now I'm actually pissed off at this list. Drake, they have Florida as the 20th best team going into next year with the 22nd best offense and the 34th best defense. Okay? Drake, if the thought is that returning production matters for purposes of this list, do you want to tell me, guess where Florida is ranked in returning offense?
Probably outside the top 90.
Yeah, 103rd. Guess where they are in returning defense?
Oh, they lost some good players. Probably like 115.
91st. They're returning nobody. And yet they think Florida is going to get better than they were last year.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Uh,
no, hold on. I mean, I will ask. I mean, like how much of an impact do you think actually Anthony Richardson actually no longer being the QB actually could have effect on that team? Because mainly that team was a very dangerous for running first team, and with Trevor Etienne, that kid's still there. So
yes.
is Montel Jordan, but they
Yeah,
did lose Osiris Torrance, who's going to be a first round guard. So that doesn't
exactly.
that doesn't make sense either. Sorry, I'm like playing it out of my head. That is kind of interesting.
You, we can't say this is about returning production because it's not, or else Florida would not be anywhere near the top 20 of this list. That's just the reality of the situation. Florida State returns everybody. We were already a borderline top 10 team. So that makes sense where we are. Florida was really, really bad. And they're returning nobody, which could be a good thing if you're a bad team, except that it's not when you're replacing Anthony Richardson, who, for the love of God, I don't understand all these draft analysts are like gushing over. That's going to be a flop of epic proportions.
I'd
Well,
take him to be honest with you,
neither
those two, but yeah.
I would take him in the 4th round as a flyer. Anywho, um, but regardless, it's not that you're losing Anthony Richardson to me. It's who you're replacing him with. You're replacing him with the worst quarterback in the transfer class of all Power 5 teams. Nobody landed a worse quarterback in the transfer portal. Nobody at a Power 5 school is replacing a good quarterback with a worse quarterback. It ain't going to work out for them. So to say on that list, on this SP list, that Florida's offense will be 22nd in the country and its defense is going to be 34th. I will go ahead and tell you right now, I can guarantee you Florida's defense is going to be better than its offense, and it ain't going to be close.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good point. You see, it's funny how you see Miami also is 42nd, but you see their offense at 55th. I think that's still a little bit too high. Their defense does make a little more sense, but also like their defense can stop a nosebleed last year against us or a Duke or a Middle Tennessee State. But folks, we'll actually talk more about this actually in our next segment. But first, a word from our sponsors. Okay, Dave, it's the end of the show. As a tradition, I'm going to hand the ball off to you. How do you want to land this thing?
Okay. I'm not done talking about this. Now I'm good and pissed off. All right. I don't understand this list. I don't understand this formula. Florida State around 11 feels right. Like, but just the way we're getting there, the way SP Plus is getting there, I really don't like. And I can't like something I don't understand, Drake. I just don't understand it. Miami's defense was better than its offense last year. I could tell you that. Just yeah, they gave up 1,000,000 points. They also didn't score any points. Tyler Van Dyke became like the worst quarterback in the ACC last year. And then they rolled out two other guys who incredibly were much, much, much worse. So, to think that their offense is going to be ahead of a defense that was markedly better than its offense last year. Meanwhile, Miami returns. Yeah, they don't return anything on offense. Yeah, that's probably for the best for them. But on defense,
We're being honest. We're being honest. Yeah,
no, that proves the point here. They're 18th in the country in returning defense. So what the hell is this list all about? What is SP Plus really all about? If we're talking about returning production, then Miami should be ranked much higher on defense, and Florida should be ranked much lower in general, both offense and defense. And Florida State should be one of the top 5 teams in the country if returning production is really heavily weighted in this. If it's not really heavily weighting returning production, then I don't understand how SB Plus is forward looking. Or if this is just saying like if they played today, this is what we think would happen. Because the reality is with all these preseason rankings, it's just a giant guessing game. Like nobody knows what ranking Florida State is going to be for its offense or what ranking UTEP is going to be for its defense. Like nobody knows that. Nobody knows how any of these like G5 recruits are going to perform. Like some of them are going to be good, most of them probably won't. But it's giving us stuff to talk about here, Drake. It's got me pissed off here in the morning, and yeah, I'm just glad to see. It's just really refreshing to see, regardless of how pissed off we are about the formula or like whether the offense is ahead of the defense or anything like that. It's really good to see a consensus among even the advanced stats now see Florida State as the kind of team that all the talking heads are on Twitter and on ESPN and stuff saying Florida State's going to be really good, potential playoff darling. When you have that, like the subjective, the normative, the people saying this is what should happen, it's really good when you see like numbers backing it up, regardless of how much I just criticized them all.
Yeah, about to say, only you would find a way to basically poo-poo on an advanced measure that has FSU as a top 10 overall team.
Miami is a top 20 team, and I can't. Or
Miami's not top 20.
Florida as a top 20 team.
So is Texas A&M. They're 17 with the 51st ranked offense. The more you say it, the more this list. But no, I mean seriously, it's really early. It's thing is dropped in February. I know he drops the second one in May and June, and then he drops the last one before he starts in August. I mean, it's tempo and it's opponent adjusted. It's mainly more predicted to see what would happen to teams played today. So I mean, overall, I get the frustration, but like you just said, national media is talking about this Florida State team as a borderline top 10 or even more a top 10 team with the number one returning production in the country with 87% of the production returning from 2022 and 2023. And folks, we hope you return each and every single day to your number one Florida State Seminole Sports podcast. Now, Dave, as always, please send us home.
Yes, thank you everybody for listening. We love you and we appreciate you. We could not do this without you. I will say it every time because it's true. For our podcast, find us anywhere you find your podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, Google Play, other places. I don't know. For the YouTube, please give the video a like if you would. It takes 2 seconds, and we really appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel. Ding the little bell. Turn your notifications on. Find out when our episodes drop, and leave us a comment. Please, just trash SP Plus for this. Whether just are you happy with Florida State's ranking? Why is it so stupid that our offense is ranked behind our defense? Why is Florida anywhere near the top 20? I want to hear it all. Vent away.
Join Dave in the vending because I'm not gonna lie, Dave is trying to convince me to otherwise, and he'll probably tell me the same thing when we cut the show. But for Dave, this is Drake, and we'll see y'all next time on Locked On Seminoles. Take care, everybody.
So no.